Episode number 19 of Business and Leadership Stories. Well, over these last 18 to 19 weeks, what we've tried to do is break the culture of MBA speak, use the power of stories to achieve business goals with speed and ease. And those of you who are availing the benefit of Sachin Bhandary and the Story Co's exquisite knowledge of these stories and the lessons that emanate from them, I highly advocate you join their coaching or consulting or training sessions either online or get in touch to do some physical sessions. Another fascinating one last week, you can go and check it out on YouTube as well as in audio form, about how Spotify used all the shortcomings of Pirate Bay to become the success that they are today. What's up? How are you, my friend Sachin Bhandary?
Very, very good, Hrishi. Look forward to our chat as usual. This is becoming the highlight of the week for me.
Today, a theme that's very attractively coined, Cred's Kunal Shah and the power of framing. Cred immediately came into the limelight because of their innovative advertising. We love the fact that Kumar Shanu, Rahul Dravid, now Zina Tamam, the wonderful Zini, all of them being used for commercials in very, very creative and innovative ways. You know, of some of them even poking fun at themselves, which I think is a wonderful way ahead, isn't it? I mean, if you can learn to laugh at yourself, half the job is done in life.
Right.
So, what is it that you think is the story that can be told from Cred's Kunal Shah and the power of framing?
Right. I mean, Cred's advertising is fantastic. I mean, who can forget Rahul Dravid getting really angry and saying Indira Nagar ka gunda hu main? I mean, completely unexpected, right? And that's why it stays in our mind. So that's another mini tip. Sometimes when you do things contrary to people's expectations, it stays in their minds. But today I want to talk about Cred's founder Kunal Shah. He is really super successful. He had a very good exit from his earlier company, Free Charge. And he's a bit of a favorite with the VC ecosystem. So even before he started building the company, he already had investors, and now I think his company is probably about $8 billion, like in valuation. That's Cred. And I always keep wondering, what is it that Kunal does differently that he gets the investors' attention and adulation? And one of the things that I've seen over time on podcast interviews and newspaper write-ups and his conversations or TED talks online is that he is really good at this thing, what I'd like to call framing. How do you frame something so that people understand it and they feel that, wow, I've been now given some new knowledge, which is going to make me smarter or make my life better. So Kunal, when you ask him, what is Cred doing? He's not going to say that Cred is a mobile app application which allows you to make credit card payments. He will not do that. Whereas that is what the product, at least to some extent, does at this point in time. If you ask him what's Cred, he will say that 10% of the highest earners in India actually are the ones responsible for 80% of the discretionary spends in the country. So that's how big their impact is. Despite that, the bureaucracy, which is the government, the bureaucratic machine, and even brands to a certain extent, ignore this crowd. And what's worse, that because they do not have great financial literacy or understanding, they make late payments while they don't need to, and a default on credit, etc. And that is something that is not good for these individuals, but at the same time, it's not good for the overall economy. So we at Cred, what we are trying to do is we are trying to build a high trust community of India's highest earners so that brands get access to them directly at one place. Secondly, we will go ahead and educate them about how to manage their finances well, so that they continue to spend. And because they continue to spend, India actually goes forward as an economy. And he believes that the work that they are going to do or doing already helps the Indian economy move forward and become a better country in one form or another. Suddenly, it's like a very interesting narrative that we just heard, right?
Yeah, wonderful narrative there by you. What can we learn now from Kunal Shah and Cred, the power of framing, a marketing and communication tip that we can take away?
Right. So this one I think is really relevant to a lot of business leaders, even founders who are listening to the show, and even team managers. So the thing is, if you want to be able to sell an idea or a concept or even your own product or service, how do you build a great narrative around it, or how do you frame it really well? I would say there are three steps to that. The step number one is that identify the big problem or a big theme. Now, your product, it is just going to, I mean, if it's a vacuum cleaner, it's going to clean your home. That's not enough. You need to figure out how can you actually elevate it to a way that if you want to build a house where everybody is happy to come, and you are the toast of the town as to how beautiful and well maintained your house is. So big problem and themes is something that you have to identify. Like Kunal Shah talks about the 10% of highest earners and how they contribute to 80% of discretionary spend. Then you come down to your product or service. What is it that you're trying to do? We are trying to build a community of a high trust community of the India's biggest earners. And then the step number 3 is your second or third order benefits. So one part is that what you do just makes your house clean at this point in time. But what happens when you are able to do that for a lot of people? Does it mean that we will have homes which will be as beautiful as anywhere in the world or something like that? So he talks about the fact that the Indian economy will move forward because of Cred's work. So second or third order benefits, which makes your narrative really strong, powerful, and elevates it from just a product perspective or a product narrative.
Sachin Bhandari's Win with Stories newsletter is a one of its kind. It can be found on LinkedIn, and he really expresses his thoughts on them. And of course, I highly advocate that you hire the Story Co and Sachin to do these workshops in your organization. They really revamp your storytelling style, and the business itself will look very, very refreshing. And of course, there are some online courses. How can people reach out to you, Sachin?
Thanks, Hrishi. Simple. Go to LinkedIn. Look for Sachin Bhandary. Sachin is easy. Bhandary is Bhandary. Look for the link on my profile which says "Get in touch" or "Stay in touch." You can subscribe to the newsletter, book my time, ask me about how I can help your enterprise win with stories, or if you are an individual learner. I have 3 open online courses, 1 open live online courses: Story Punch for marketing and content, Founders Pitch, of course, for founders and entrepreneurs, and Ace LinkedIn with Stories for anyone who's looking to discover and showcase their expertise through writing, especially on LinkedIn. Yeah.
And we shall be back as always once a week on Business and Leadership Stories. Next week we clock in 20 full episodes, and that should be a mini celebration for us. Thanks for your time and your patience, my friend. I look forward to catching up with you next week. Bye-bye.
Thanks a lot, Hrishi. Look forward to it.
94.3 Radio 1.